Is it working? Hello, everybody. I missed you guys. I was going a little bit insane while I was working in Texas because you guys saw the hotel that I was staying at, and Wi-Fi, like, they were trying to make me make an account so that I could join their free Wi-Fi. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, we are back in Illinois finally, and I'm just gonna get right into it because you guys know when I'm back working, it's like boom, boom, boom. And we are going to be talking about the Goncalves family because in the last video that I made, the last live we all met up at, we talked about the Goncalves family, right? Because what happened? To this day, I have no idea what happened, but we definitely know that their Facebook was down. By the way, these are all my opinions, my theories, my speculations, babe. So if you're like very sensitive, like very easily triggered, this channel may not be for you. And the fact that their Facebook page was taken down allegedly for how long? Let me know in the chat. At least today, right? What were they doing? Now, I just checked their Facebook and it's back up and running. So what was going on? What did they get in trouble for? Because I don't really know how Facebook works. I do not have a Facebook. It's been a long time since I've had a Facebook. And from what I know, Facebook only takes down pages that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, right? They're like violating terms or whatever. So I find it very interesting that their page is back up again. And what do we see? Again, more ranting on Facebook. It's like as soon as they got their Facebook page back up, ranting again. We're talking about potential trial delays, and that's something that we really need to focus on because, again, after the Dateline episode took place, well, let's just say that no one has been really happy. And Taylor hasn't been happy. And why would you be happy if you're defending a young man who is innocent? Yes, he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And you find out that there has been some leak. Now, I know that there's a lot of YouTubers, crime sleuths, that are like making these crazy stories, trying to do backflips, somersaults, to try to make sense of this leak. And they're saying, oh, well, Ann Taylor must have made this leak. She must have leaked some information out because if she leaks it, then that means that she gets more time and blah, 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 blah. But honestly, when we heard Judge Hippler addressing the leak, it sounded more like he was focusing on the prosecution, and he was focusing more on a leak coming from potentially law enforcement. We know that there have been so many agencies that have been involved in this entire case, so of course we need to question everything. This is not to hate. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate my worst enemies. I don't care. We are here again to ask questions, to get to the truth, not to hate people. But again, as I'm scrolling here through the Goncalves family page, 4 days ago, I pray with all my heart that the trial does not get delayed. My head is spinning that it's even a possibility. It's like, how's your head spinning that this is a possibility? Hashtag Goncalves Army of Love, which, by the way, you guys know I jokingly call the G Army of Hate because they're, in my opinion, very hateful, very spiteful group. Most of the threats that people have gotten, myself included, come from people who call themselves G Army of Love, right? They don't like that we stick up here in our channel and several other channels. We stick up for our rights, basically. By the way, as a veteran, happy Memorial Day. I know it's kind of off for Memorial Day, but happy Memorial Day. If you know any veterans or if you did something special for Memorial Day, let me know. Now, so we overheard everything last week regarding the Dateline episode, right? Okay, Judge Hippler seemed very concerned about the leaks. Again, this is a judge that I don't have high hopes for, again, because trends show us information. A trend, a pattern could potentially show us patterns for the future. And in the past, he has sided with corrupt law enforcement. So it's potentially that he will do the same again. But he at least pretended to seem very concerned about the leaks. And we know that the defense has asked the court so many times, guys, I've lost track. How many times has the defense asked the court to remove the death penalty? So, of course, Ann Taylor, of course, the defense is going to be asking for an investigation of these leaks. Of course, she's going to be doing that. Why? Because if there is a court order, a gag order for non-dissemination, and if there have been any violations of this order whatsoever from either law enforcement agencies, again, several of them have been involved in this case since day one, or a violation of this non-dissemination order from the prosecution team or anybody connected to the prosecution team whatsoever, guess what? Guess what? Well, it's very likely that Ann Taylor is then going to file another motion to attempt to remove the death penalty, right? That's like common sense. And again, it's common sense because if there has been any violations of the gag order, well, we want a fair trial. At the end of the day, whether Mr. Kohberger was involved in this crime or not, he has the right to a fair trial, which includes investigations taking place before the trial takes place, right? We know that judge has ordered for a special prosecutor to investigate. I don't think that they've released his name yet. Maybe I missed it. And this is technically supposed to be a third party who is not involved in the case currently whatsoever. But again, remember, at the end of the day, these investigators do work for the state. So remember that as we go through this investigation, right? And again, Hippler did mention also that he was very worried about the potential jury pool, because when you are exposing potentially a jury pool, and they're being exposed to prejudicial information, and a lot of that information that the jury pool is being exposed to, it's not even admissible at trial. So there's that. And we've also heard Ann Taylor saying that they don't have enough time, right? She has said this since the very early days because so many gigabytes of information, right? It was like, I forgot, however many million pages she had to review. She's always said, we don't have enough time to go over everything we need to. And remember, at this time, the defense, Ann Taylor, Alyssa, everybody, they're also working on other death penalty cases at the same time. So that's a lot of data. That's a lot of information to have to revise, especially in a time crunch, especially when she's working on multiple death penalty cases. That's a very heavy workload. So if Ann Taylor is saying that she's not ready, Judge Hippler is going to have a problem here trying to force the defense to carry this case on. This is a death penalty case, people. And if the defense is saying that they're not ready, then it's very possible that Hippler is going to have to delay the trial until the defense is better prepared. If he sets this trial, and he says, let's set this trial in motion, it's ready to go, I don't care whether you're prepared or not, it just puts the state in a very dangerous situation, because if the trial were to proceed as normal without any delays, then later on, if in the middle of the investigation something pops up that there was a leak by the state or by law enforcement, guess what? That is potential, there's room for a mistrial, and that's a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources gone down the drain, right? So I think if Judge Hippler has any common sense, he's going to delay the trial, right? And in the past, we have heard him say that there's going to be no more extensions, there's going to be no more delays, but that was prior to the Dateline episode. Once that Dateline episode aired, I think that really pissed Hippler off. So again, will the trial be delayed? Likely, yes, but that's just my opinion. And if the trial does get delayed, of course Hippler and of course Santa and of course the prosecution team is going to be pissed off. Of course they're going to be pissed off, but oh well. Oh, well, at the end of the day, the investigation has to take place. This is the right of Mr. Kohberger, and to have this leak investigated before the trial actually begins is also part of his rights. So I'm praying that Judge Hippler does the right thing, the moral thing, the legal thing, and doesn't do as he has done in the past, which is what? To side with corrupt law enforcement. Now, it's been a few days since I've talked to you guys, so I actually want to see what the chat is doing today. By the way, guys, did any of you have a 3-day weekend, or were you working like me? Also, I have tea. Thank you guys for the cash apps. I had some of you give me donations, like little cash app tips there for the tea recommendations. And I'm like, I haven't drank tea in a while. So I actually have chilled, semi-chilled spearmint tea. Now, I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor before drinking any teas, because I'm not, gonna get sued. Don't do anything I do, but spearmint tea is one of my favorites. It's great for bloating. It helps me with bloating. Some studies even show that it can help women with PCOS, especially if they have high testosterone. So something to keep in mind. And it's just amazing. Some studies also show that spearmint tea, 2 cups a day in some women, can reduce levels of hirsutism. So hirsutism is like excess body hair, basically, seen in women with PCOS. I don't have PCOS. I don't have hirsutism. I don't know if it works, but I just love how this tea tastes. So who's in the chat? Who is in the chat? Hi, Hoppers. I missed you guys. You guys are amazing, by the way. I feel like we have a family here. I know there's not a lot of us. What are we at? 11,000 or something? A small portion of people that I used to have in my old channel, which was close to 100,000, right? But we'll get there. It's just a matter of time. But when I'm away from you guys, I'm like, I miss my people. So it's nice to see you guys. Hi, Amanda. Hello. Hello, Emma. Hi. Hello, Christina. Hi, Michael Green. Chili Chicken. Hear you loud and clear. Hello, Kimmy. I am back, that's for sure. Hi, Rise of the Phoenix. Hi, John. Kimmy says, I have Facebook, but I'm never on it. Lately, I stay on YouTube. I just used it to keep up with my mom and friends because I live several hours away. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But we know that a lot of the Goncalves army of hate, the army of love, they're doing what they do best, which is spew hate and incite violence, which is very, very dangerous. And even me as a YouTuber, a small YouTuber, I have to be very careful with how I talk about these things, because again, my coworkers know, everybody knows that I have a YouTube channel, and this case is so emotionally charged. And when you are emotional, you are not being objective. It just means you can't think clearly, you cannot think straight, and that really blinds people. Okay, emotions overpowering you blinds people. And I'm worried for the safety of Mr. Koberger and for the safety of Ann Taylor. I am hoping that they get their private security if they need to. But again, this is something that it's a very charged topic. So just be careful with who you discuss this with, because some people, they're very black or white minded. It's like yes or no, there's no in between. They don't like analyzing data. They've just seen a couple of CNN episodes and they're like, Mr. Koberger is guilty. Okay, Nika, you don't understand. He did it. I can feel it in my bones. And if you don't side with them, they start going a little cuckoo on you. So just keep some of those things between us here, shall we? Hello, Randy. Hi, Mac. Hi, Vicky. Hello, Carl. Goncalves should be ranting about Dylan's visit on November 11, inviting Kaylee back to Moscow. Oh, burn. That's a big burn. I agree, though. Kimmy says, Christina saying my best friend called this morning to see if I was alive. John, thank you. 68 terabytes. Yeah, that's a lot of data, right? Hello, Babble Dabble. Love your hair. Thank you. I actually started making a second batch of the hair oil. It takes me some time to make. Some of you guys have purchased it through Cash App. Let me know if you love it once you receive it. It's an old family recipe. My grandma said not to give it to you guys, by the way. That's a family recipe. How dare, don't you dare share that recipe. Carl says, Goncalves should explain Kaylee's early pullout on October 22nd in which she told her parents the reason why. When did Goncalves become aware of his daughter's passing? Exactly. Ooh, Tiff from Texas? Loose lips sinks ships, Steve. That's right. That's why their page got taken down, says Christina. Again, I'm not sure why, but Debbie, totally agree with you. My second comment was a continuation of first. Oh, okay. Hello, Crime Spy. Thank you for your service. My pleasure, babes. My pleasure. Babble dabble. We don't want a mistrial. Let's get to court. I want to see the evidence withheld under the gag order. Let's see what the prosecution really has. Exactly. Let's see what they have. These are the same people that were telling us that they had all this information, that all this data, this case was a done deal, and all we've seen is the prosecution team come forward and say, Mr. Koberger did not stalk any of the victims. So, okay. Yes, Babble Dabble, totally agree with you. That's a great psychological analysis, right? Babble Dabble says, I just see why BK would commit this crime, choose that house on that day. You normally see a progression, cruelty to animals, etc., but BK goes from 0 to quad butcher. Not only that, but when we look at like the DSM, for example, which I have 2 sitting over there, when we look at the DSM, the Diagnostic Manual in Psychology, and we look at psychopathy or criminals or whatever, we usually start seeing crimes at a very young age. It could be minor, it could be violence towards animals. We have not seen anything like that with Mr. Koberger. If anything, when we analyze his notes that he posted on the private thread when he was a young teenager, a young boy, it seems more like depression. He felt like a sack of meat with no emotions, no whatever, no violence. We usually see violent mentalities. In this case, we see something that sounds an awful lot like depression or autism. And again, now that we've seen some of his psychological evaluations, we understand that he, yes, has OCD, and yes, he is autistic. He is on the spectrum. So, by the way, I shared in a couple live streams ago, I shared some studies with you that show that people on the spectrum are less likely to commit violent crimes. Who is more likely to commit violent crimes when there are young women involved? It's usually the partner. Usually a boyfriend or a husband or a lover. So, my pal Sal Vintage, hello. BK is a patsy in my opinion. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Drink your tea. By the way, how cute is this baby girl? That's my baby doll. Isn't she cute? And thank you guys for joining me in today's conversation. If you think that the trial is going to get delayed, please make sure to vote in the comments or in the chat with a number 1. And if you think that the trial is just going to carry on even with the investigation, I don't think it has even begun yet. You think Judge Hippler's just going to say, let's just carry on? Because it's also possible with so much pressure coming from above. We know this is a very politicized case. It's also very likely that Hippler has a lot of pressure coming from all directions to just continue this case. So if you think that that's going to happen, please leave it too. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the super chats and the cash apps that you have left. You guys are spoiling me, and I've been buying a lot of coffee this weekend, which got me through my very long work weekend. So thank you guys. Take care. Have a good weekend. No, it's not the weekend yet. Have a good day. Have a good day.